1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's the 10 Cut Commandments, what?
What up, world?
Hey.
It's your boss, Yohnee AKA Zomega Millions. I am the blade to your fade, the answer to Benz, and the cheers to your shears. My special guest today is Yohnee AKA Barber Baddie. Welcome to the show, sis.
Thank you for having me.
As we always do when we start off, we start from the beginning. So tell the audience where you're from.
My name is Yohnee AKA Barber Baddie. You want to know where I'm from right now?
Where you from originally?
Oh, okay. I'm from Springfield, Massachusetts.
Springfield, Mass. I got some family down that way too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Blakes and other family over that in that vicinity.
Too.
Okay, hey, we might be family. You never know.
Right?
That's how it be.
Right. Yeah, but I've been in New York 13 years now.
So you consider yourself a New Yorker now?
I consider myself a New Yorker to an extent. I've learned.
Uh-huh.
I've learned. You know, some people, they can still hear my accent. They'll still say, "Where you from?" But I don't get asked as much as I used to. And even when I tell people I'm not from New York, they act surprised. Like, "Oh, really?" So I think I made it.
All right, then. All right. So, you reside now where?
In Brooklyn.
You reside in Brooklyn now. Okay. So what inspired you, a female, to be a barber?
Oh, you know what? I was working for the city. I was a traffic agent, and I was working for the city. And I remember leaving. I was on my way back to the command. You go out, you write tickets, and then you go back to the command. So I was walking with this older
Around
lady.
what year was this? Sorry to cut you off.
This was 2008.
Okay.
It was 2008. So we were walking back to the command, me and this older woman, and she looked at me. She said, "Miller," because that's my last name. She's like, "Miller, don't retire from here." She said, "Don't retire from here." She said, "Go back to school and start your own business, but don't retire from here." So I was like, that's a good idea. Mm-hmm. And I started thinking at the time, I had kids, but my mom was keeping them for me because, I was NYPD. It was all new. I'm in New York. So she's like, "I'm going to keep the kids for a little while to help you out." And so I started thinking like, well, this would be a good time to go to school. So I started thinking of what could I do? And a lot of people growing up, a lot of people would have put me in cosmetology. Mm-hmm. But if you knew me growing up, you knew I was always around guys. So that was not going to work for me. Like cosmetology wasn't going to be my thing. Mm-hmm. But then ABI was literally like 3 blocks away from my command. And I just went over there and I was like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. And then after that, I called my mom and I called a couple of my family members and was like, yeah, I'm going to be a barber. I'm going to barber school. And then everybody's like, oh, you just like your grandmother. And then it dawned on me because my grandmother died when I was like 10.
Well,
But I was living with her in California. And she had a barbershop in California.
Wow. What part of California?
I was living in Salinas.
Oh, Salinas, okay.
California. So I guess those are the 2 reasons, really. My grandmother and the fact that this lady told me, don't retire from traffic, which turned out to be some good advice. So,
yeah. But you didn't know what you were going to do.
No.
And had you walked by the barber shop, the barber school, working and that's looking in, and so you knew where it was?
Yep.
Wow. So
because I was writing tickets in that area and I just stumbled across it and I was like, wait a minute. And then cosmetology school, I was looking at 18 months versus barber school, which was 6 months.
Yes.
Versus, $10,000 loans versus
about $5,000. Right?
Yeah. And I turned in my paperwork. I actually turned in my W-2s right like the day before the cutoff because ABI was like, yeah, bringing your W-2s from 2007. Mm-hmm. And I brought them in. They was like, oh, good thing you brought them in. Because if you would have waited till tomorrow, you'd have had to bring in your W-2s from 2008, which means I had a different job, right?
Right. You would have showed too much money.
Yeah. So I actually got to go to ABI for like $300.
Oh, wow. Shout out to Alex.
Word. Don't tell him.
I just spoke to him yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay, so in 2008, you attended ABI.
Yeah, it was 2009.
2009. Okay.
I started February 2009.
Okay. And who was your instructor at that time? Do you remember?
Yep, Lucas.
Okay, Lucas.
And Santos.
Santos. Okay, I remember
Yeah.
Santos.
Yeah, Lucas passed away. I didn't
Okay.
get to talk to him before he passed away, but
Okay.
I remember reaching out to a couple of the students like, yo, somebody help me find Lucas. And they were like, oh, he passed.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
yeah, but Lucas and Santos and Mr. OD.
OD, that's my man, OD.
Yeah,
Shout out
that's
to
my
OD.
man.
I got to get OD on the show.
Listen, Mr. OD is so wonderful. Mr. OD is the reason why I got a job at ABI as an instructor. And then when I left ABI, Mr. OD passed me on to another job that he did on Sundays
Okay.
at L'Occitane. And he was like, I'm leaving this job. You can have this job.
Okay.
And I actually got hired and I kept that job for 2 years.
Teaching.
No, doing hot towel shaves at a boutique.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was doing hot towel shaves at a boutique in the city called L'Occitane.
Okay. Was that, did they do locks there?
No, the name of it is called L'Occitane. It's French.
Oh, okay.
And
A French Lexington.
yeah, something like that.
I'll just play.
I can't remember what L'Occitane stands for.
Okay.
but it's a is it a place? It might be a place in France. Or
Okay.
something.
Okay. Okay. So you graduate in 2009 or 2010?
2009.
Okay, you graduate in 2009, August 2009. How was it being a student at ABI, female barber? I know there are female barbers there, but from your perspective, how was it being a female student at the school?
I felt like a little handicapped, a little disadvantaged because I remember the first time in theory, Lucas held up the clippers. And he pushed the guard back, the lever back, and he said, "This is a 1." And I said, "What's a 1? Like, what you talking about?" He was like, "This is a 1." And I was like, "What? Like, what are you showing me and telling me that it's a 1?
It's the way that it's taught, too.
Yeah, he kept saying, "This is a 1. You see what I just did? I opened this, and this is a 1." So, being a female, never have gone to a barbershop before, I felt like a disadvantage because I was just like, what
You were green all the way.
Yeah, all the way. I was just like, yo, I don't know what you're talking about. Even with goatees, it took me so long to understand how to do a goatee because I was like, I don't know what y'all men want from me. Like, I don't know if I'm supposed to make it round or square. I didn't know what people want, but they just wanted something, and I had to figure that out. So.
You know what? And some barbers say that women are good because they say, y'all look at men, so cut me how you would feel that I would look attractive.
First of all, you're ugly anyway. No, okay.
First of all, you got to be attractive.
Right. No, just kidding, but
make me less ugly.
Right. Well, the thing about it is that that can be true because I've definitely have helped some customers like figure out a look for them. Like, yo, like, bro, I love your dark Caesar, but you would look better with a taper. They take my opinion.
They do.
Right.
Cause I have a barber in my shop upstate, and April, shout out to April.
Hey, April.
And I'll have customers because now I'm more busy. I'm not in the shop no more. And she'll get them and she'll change their entire look.
Yeah.
All the time. I'll be like, oh, so you let April cut you like that.
Right.
You can get this kind of haircut with April and this kind of.
Right.
It's true. Women will tell. When women suggest another style to a guy, they go with it.
Well, because honestly, guys won't change. Yeah. Guys been wearing the same cologne all their life. Yeah. They've been wearing the same brand. I know people who wear polo. They've been wearing polo all their life. They just not gonna wear nothing else, right? So
creatures of habit,
right? But I think what was hard for me to grasp was the concepts. And I think that that's a big, that's something that needs to be paid attention to when educating is concepts. See, you can teach me lines and numbers, 1s, 1.5, make a line here, make a line there. But sometimes you have to help people understand exactly why you're doing this. Why am I creating this first line?
Right. You have to explain it.
Yeah.
Explain your approach.
Right.
That's what makes a good teacher.
I think that I was being taught the technical things to do, but I had no idea what I was trying to do.
The theory of
Like I had no idea what I was doing. Fading, I just learned how to fade. Well, I've been fading, but I felt like I really just learned how to fade, and I still want to get better at it. But that's because for so long I was just following the same steps, but I really didn't know what I was doing. Like nobody was saying, "Hey, listen, you're blending. You're trying to create a light to dark.
Right.
You're trying to
Transition.
do this." Yeah, like nobody was telling me those things. So I was just trying to figure it out. Like, okay, well, if I put a line, oh shoot, I push the line up. I got to figure that out. You know,
You be chasing that line all the way up to the top of their head.
Next thing you know, you done took a taper to a
I was
a higher
fortunate.
tight.
I was fortunate to have a really good teacher, and
That's awesome.
he made it easy to learn and easy to remember. That's Mr.
that's good.
Gene Walker, yeah. So, and I took a lot of his techniques that he taught me, and I taught others that way because I felt it. I was at home, and you get to a point on your own where you can't grow anymore unless somebody teach you, and that's where I was. And and fading is probably the most complicated part of mastering the craft.
Right.
Because,
That and shape-ups.
yeah. Well, shape-ups, you could get it or never get it. It all depends on your eye, I think. Some people will always give you a crooked line.
Well, you know what, too? Your chair needs to be straight because I realized my chair was a little off. And I've learned to adjust my eye to the chair because I used to be like, this line is straight. As soon as people get up, it's like just tilted. I'm like,
you gotta make sure their head is straight.
Yeah, the head is messed up too. I tell them all the time, it ain't me. It's
You got. I remember a lady told me that when I was a kid. I was like, my line is right. She said, your head is crooked. I never forgot that too. Shout out to that old Spanish lady that cut my hair on 106 and 2nd. I'll never forget that. I was like, I will never go. I was a kid too. I was like, I will never go back to her.
Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I always think too, you're only as good as your best barber. I think there's barbershops where everybody's trash. Or the best barber is okay.
Yeah, you can max out on the talent you're around.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that I actually my barbershop, I've been blessed to work around G the God. He's from he's from Fulton area, but his G the God has been with me 2.5 years, and he really helped me, like just cutting next to someone better.
Course.
That's really good, like really good at the craft. Just cutting, it's automatically going to draw a difference in clientele. Like you're gonna see the way people react to their cuts and then how they react. It's almost like they have a repellent. Like, oh no, go to him because he's always gonna. And where you think you're like, yo, I'm good. You realize like, oh, listen, there's another level to it.
Yes, mastery.
Yeah, there's another level to it.
And when you get into mastery, it's your finish that separates you from the other haircuts.
Absolutely. And he took the time out to show me. He didn't have to. He didn't have to, but he took the time out, and I'm still kind of watching him and getting better at it. But you're only as good as your best barber.
So you mentioned your shop, and we want to get to that. Yeah. So you graduate school, and what happens when you graduate school? Do you go directly into a barbershop? What happens after that?
I did. There was a barbershop on 36th Street. Damn it, I can't remember the name of the barbershop right now, but I know H owned it. It was this barber named H.
Okay.
And I was just so shocked to see black barbers on 36th Street between 8th and 9th Avenue. I was like, oh, there's a barbershop? And I used to go there every day in my uniform while I was going to school.
Okay.
But I would just come and just chop it up with them. I never told them I was in school, but I would say it here and there, like, hey, y'all, you should let me get a chair. And when I finally graduated and then I came, I was like, yo, listen, they were like, you were serious? We just thought you was just coming around. And I was like, no.
Trying to holler now.
Trying to get a job. So right after, after I graduated, I would leave work because I worked 6 to 2. I would leave work and then I would go to that barbershop and I would work. But I didn't cut anybody. I was probably working with them, and then they moved to a different location. And I was just there, just watching. But I didn't realize how much of cutting hair came from watching.
Oh, yeah. Learning.
Because when I actually left that shop and went to a shop in Canarsie, and when I got to that shop, my first day, it was like a back to school rush or something. It was like 4th of July or something, and I was knocking them out. And I just was like, yo, I can't even believe I'm doing this.
Nice.
I can't even believe I'm this good, and I wasn't that great, but I thought it was good for my first day.
Right.
And people were like, yo, you're pretty good. And I was like, oh, okay. And all I did was watch for about 6 months. So.
Wow. Yeah, you could learn a lot. I always tell young barbers that if you're not cutting and you're not promoting, then you should be watching. You shouldn't be looking at your phone if you're still new to the game. You should be watching the barbers that have the skill and those who give you a good reception, asking questions like, why did you use that blade, or why did you approach it this way? That's how you learn. And don't feel afraid to ask somebody, because if you don't ask questions, then you don't learn anything, you know?
Yeah, and I understand now the value of the sweep boy, because back then I used to just think it was so, when like guys would be like, oh, how do you learn how to cut? And he'd be like, just sweep. The barbers would be like, just sweep, just sweep. And I never understood why he would just say that until I realized the sweeper gets to watch everybody cut.
That's right.
If the sweeper just sweeping up from this end of the shop to that end of the shop, he's going to watch everybody cut. That's right. And he's going to learn how to cut just like that. So, yeah.
Okay, so you're in Canarsie for a while.
Yeah, about a year and a half.
About a year and a half. How do you transition into having your own barbershop? And let me just say, applaud you for that, because there's not a lot of female barbers with their own shop. No. There's a few female barbers scattered around in barbershops.
Definitely. And there's some female barbers with their own shop.
Yeah, but not a lot. You know what I mean? So, you are of the few.
Yes.
So tell me what motivated you? How did you get yourself together to get your own shop? And what's the name of the shop and why the name?
Okay, cool. So there's a space, because I left the barbershop in Canarsie in 2012. I also quit my job at Traffic in 2012. And really what happened was there was this guy that came into the shop. I was struggling learning how to cut hair. I'd already gotten my master's license, and I wasn't really getting a lot of clientele. Mind you, the shop in Canarsie we had about 10 barbers in there. So I wasn't really getting money like that. And to me, there was a lot of hate going on. Like when I bought new clippers, all of a sudden I didn't cut no hair. When I got my master's license, all of a sudden I didn't cut no hair that day. So to me, there was a lot of hate going on, but whatever.
They wasn't showing the love?
They wasn't showing me no love, but I can't say that, because the owner is a great guy. But
okay.
I had my share of difficulties there. But anyway, I left both places, my job and my shop. But before I left the barber shop, this guy came in and said, hey, if you really want to learn how to cut hair, you should go to the shelters and cut hair. And then he said, that's what I do. I went to the shelters and I gave out free haircuts. And the thing about it is one part that I skipped over is when I moved to New York, I went straight into a shelter. I had an apartment. For some reason, I wasn't going to be able to stay there no more. Ended up being out, and I was with my daughter, and I was pregnant. Wow. So I ended up living in a homeless shelter for a whole year. Mm-hmm. And I got out of the shelter after a year, got an apartment, and went into Traffic, right? So now, and when I got out, the shelter experience was so transformative for me, because I went in there disgruntled. Like, I was just very angry.
That you had to go into a shelter?
Yeah, I don't even know what the hell was my problem. I was so difficult. I thought I was so difficult. And then on top of that, I thought I was smarter than everybody. So I was the type of person that would argue with you, like verbally, like try to assault you intelligently. Like, you don't know what you're doing. Like, you know. Right.
So, growing pains.
I was so difficult. And, but by the time I left there, I had let the owner of the shelter was a pastor. By the time I left there, the pastor had baptized me and everything. So I was like transformed. And I remember leaving the shelter and trying to go back and give back. But they kept saying, well, are you licensed to do any other things that you want to do?
Even in the shelter?
Yeah, they kept asking me, are you licensed? Because I wanted to do all of this stuff. So I just kind of forgot about it and went on with my life. So here I am, 4 years later, and this guy said, you should go back and give haircuts at the shelter. Man, that idea wouldn't let me sleep. I was waking up in the middle of the night like, you got to do this. I couldn't eat without thinking about going back to the shelters.
Right.
So I reached out to Department of Homeless Services, and I met with this guy named Antonio, and he was on board. I mean, he gave me a list. I mean, he put my email and my information out to almost every director in the shelter system. I mean, I think I've gone to almost every shelter in New York City. I mean, Staten Island. Wow. I'm talking about the Bronx, deep in Queens. I'm talking about by the airport. I was all over.
You paid your dues.
Yeah, from 2012 until 2015. I mean, I was able to throw a big, huge event at the Harlem Pal Center. I did an event called Back to School with Dad. And I had all the dads and the kids come out from the shelter. They bust them to it. We had giveaways from Madison Square Garden. We had giveaways from Applebee's. We were giving away Curates, bedroom sets, blankets and stuff like that, backpacks, and we gave out free haircuts, which was like it was like such a big deal because I had done so much, just going from shelter to shelter. So to actually have this event, it was great. I definitely got tired though around year 3 because I wasn't getting any money for it.
Yeah. But it's goodwill.
It was definitely. I mean, I ain't even gonna lie. There was times where I was jumping the gate at the train station to get to these shelters, because I would make these promises like I'll be there, but mind you, I was unemployed, and I wasn't cutting hair at a barbershop. Right. So this was all I was doing, but I was networking. There's this Brooklyn Father Partnership. I think it's Brooklyn Fatherhood Partnership. Something like that. Like I was one of the people that helped start that. Like I started the Facebook page. I got the Google Voice number going. Like, so there were so many things I was doing in the communities that I became, kind of a part of a lot of community events and different, I even, there's a church out here on 116th called FCBC. And I reached out to them at one time and told them what I was doing. They started paying me to come out and do their Father's Day events and their Super Bowl events. They have homeless people come out. Wow. They feed them, and I would come and give them free haircuts. So anyway, but by year 3, I wasn't making a lot of money. Me and my kids, we were struggling, and I forgot I got into a car accident a couple of years ago. So I reached out to the lawyer, like, "Yay, whatever happened."
What happened to that paper?
Yeah, did you guys forget about me? And they called me. They was like, "Oh man, we've been looking for you. You got to go to court." I was like, "Okay, cool." We went to court. Court was awful to me. I was like, I left court like, I don't think I'm getting any money. And I remember asking the lawyer, I was like, "How do you think I did?" He was like, "Oh man, you did great." I said, "Well, how much money you think I can get?" He said, "Well, your insurance claim was only for $25,000, so you can get anywhere from $1 to $25, but they never give anybody $25,000. They never give anybody the whole thing. Right. You're lucky if you get like $5,000." And I was like, so I immediately started praying, like, "God, listen, hey, I need at least 10. You know what I mean? Like,
I feel
hook
you.
me up, God, okay? Hook me up.
Hook your girl up.
I need a little bit more than 5, you know?
Right.
Because they got to take, the lawyers got to take their
They
part
gotta
of
take
it
their
too,
money too, yeah.
Right? So, anyway, I went to court. That happened. And then in December, that was like in July of 2014. In December 2nd of 2014, I get a call. I'm in a grocery store, and it's the lawyer. They're like, "Hey, Miss Miller, it's the lawyer's office. We have some good news. We just want to let you know, first of all, you won your settlement." I was like, "Oh, that's great." She was like, "Also, for the first time ever, they gave you the whole thing." Listen, let me tell you. I took off running, shopping cart and everything. I'm running through the grocery store, and I'm like, great. But I'm like running.
I'm on my way.
But she was like, "Okay, so you just need to come down." She's like, "You just need to come down and
Lawrence, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. I think I'm gonna go live too.
Not disturbed.
Yeah, so she's like, "You gotta come down, you gotta fill out some paperwork, and then from there, we give you the check. You should get it by January 1st. So I'm like, "Okay, great." And so, I tell my mom, I tell my sister, and you know what? They were kind of like, Well, you better not be broke by the summertime. Well, you better not spend it all. And what you gonna do with it? You know, you need to get a car, and you need to,
That's the family for you.
Take those kids on a trip. You know, I was
Spending your money for you.
yo, you better be at the family reunion. I was stressed out, like.
You better bring some food.
Oh, and that was another thing too. Like I didn't go to food stamps at all this whole time I was unemployed.
Okay.
I just didn't have the energy to deal with the food stamps office and the system. So I was like, nah. And so we really were struggling.
Wow.
You know, so at this time I started getting stressed out now. The money didn't come in January. I'm stressed out. And every time I talk to people, I'm just telling them how stressed out I am. And I mean, people were like, yo, how you stressed out about getting money? And I was stressed out because I didn't want to get the money and lose it.
Right.
So maybe like in February, I was walking down the street stressed. And I asked myself a question and I said, okay, Yohnee, if you got this money today and it was gone tomorrow, what would you regret not doing with it? And I said, not getting a barbershop. And that's the moment I decided to get a barbershop. So I called up a friend of mine who was a real estate agent, and I said, listen, I'd rather spend my bread with you.
Right.
And so it was actually like the day before my birthday. I called the lawyer like, yo, what's up, man? Y'all said January. Mind you, I'm glad I didn't get it in January. That money would have been gone.
Everything happens in its time, right?
Right. So I'm like, yo, listen, I got that money. I was like, what's up with the money? He's like, oh, your check is here. So they're like, the check is here. My homegirl's hitting me on the other end. I click over. She's like, Yohnee, the landlord is kicking the barber out next door. That was the real estate next door, the barbershop that used to be there. She was like, I think I could get you in there.
Wow.
So I hang up. This is like the day before my birthday. I was like, wow. So I went and got the check on my birthday. And you know, it didn't happen right away. It took me maybe like till June. I didn't sign my lease or actually get in touch with the landlord until about May or April. And it was interesting because that story is interesting too. I don't know if you have time.
Okay, so let me because the cameras will go off at. Let me just start them over. They go off at every 30 minutes.
Really?
Okay, we are back.
Yeah.
Okay, so now. You get the money, you get the landlord, you get the space. You said it's May is when you sign your lease. Is it May?
June.
June of what year?
June 2015.
June 2015. You sign your lease, and you know you got that money because all that sweat equity you put into them shelters.
Yeah, and you know, right. And what's interesting is that the landlord. So there was two things that happened. The girl who was the real estate agent began to turn on me.
Wow.
She began to turn on me, but I understand it now. Hindsight, I understand why it needed to happen. But at the time, I was just like, yo, what's wrong with her? She used to be like, you know, this neighborhood is up and coming. You have to have top-notch credit. And, you know, I really think you should try like East New York or Brownsville.
Wow.
Yeah, not crazy, right?
Yeah.
Who says that to someone after you told me about the place? And it seemed like she was like the in-between. Like she was what was standing between me and the landlord. So one day I called my best friend. I'm like, yo, come with me down to this place. We got to just look at it. And we couldn't even, the gate was down and everything. We just sitting there in between the gates, like, just like, this is it, man.
Yeah.
This is it.
You got that feeling.
Yeah. And then at the corner, there was a restaurant, Samantha's. And he was like, I use the bathroom. Let's go to McDonald's on Atlantic. I said, no, let's go to Samantha's. Let's go in this restaurant real quick. I'm pretty sure they got a bathroom. So we go in there. I go in there. And I'm like, I'm just going to small talk while you go to the bathroom because we can't buy nothing. I don't think we had any money or something. But I was like, all right. So I realized it's all black. And I'm like, oh, my goodness. This is all black? How are you guys making it in this neighborhood? I wasn't familiar with the neighborhood 10 years ago.
Right.
Wow. And I started talking to the guy that was working there, and I was like, I really want to get the place around the corner. And he was like, which place? I said, it was a barbershop right there. He said, oh, you want the landlord's number? I said, well, I got the real estate number already. He was like, no, his cell phone number. And I was like, yeah, I'll take his cell phone number. And I was like, but who should I say gave it to me? He said, tell him his son gave it to you.
Wow.
And you know what, though? I still didn't call him for 2-3 weeks.
Really?
Yeah, because I didn't want to step on her toes.
Out of
I have
respect.
integrity.
Yes, I understand.
You know what I mean?
I
I'm from the
understand.
90s.
Yeah,
we just don't do
yeah,
certain
yeah,
things, right?
yeah.
So
I
I was like, what if I call him and then she says, oh, she was supposed to work with us, and he'd be like, see, I don't get down like that.
Yeah, I understand.
So I waited and I kept reaching out to her.
But his son gave it to you, though.
His son gave it to me.
Yeah,
though.
that's
But
different.
I know, but I wanted to do it the right way.
I understand.
So I went to her. And for the last time, she was like, Yohnee, I know you're getting some money, but that ain't no money. She was like, what makes you think that the landlord should do business with you? What do you bring to the table? And I said to her, well, what should I bring to the table? Proof that you're a valuable business. But I'm like, you know me. Like, you already know. So I said...
Maybe she was jealous.
You know what? I don't think she was jealous. I think that she felt like she stuck her neck out for me and was afraid after that. Like, she was like, I'm going to help you get in the space. And then when she realized she overstepped her boundaries, she had to pull back. Either her husband or somebody else was going to try to rent the space out. She didn't know how to tell me. So it was like...
maybe somebody else wanted it.
Yeah.
She was
and
trying
I think
to discourage
she was like,
you.
I'm just going to discourage her.
Right.
But she ain't know I had that number in my pocket. You know what
She
I'm saying?
ain't know you had the Lord on your side.
Okay. So then I called the landlord and was like, listen, I'm going through this with your real estate agent, but she's rude. And I told him, I said, I want to try to get into that spot. And I said, and I don't care if you tell me no, but I want to hear it from you. Right. So when can we sit down and do lunch? And we did lunch. I paid for it. I bought him some soaps from the L'Occitane, the job that OD got me. Pulled up. And he said, give me some references. I said, okay. So I sent out a blast email to all the Department of Homeless Services, all of the directors and stuff that I knew. I said, this is what's going on, everybody. I'm trying to get into a location. If you guys can all send him a reference letter from me. Wow. He came back to me. He said, listen, I got some good people in my life. I got some really good friends. He said, but I don't think anybody would talk so highly of me the way these people talked about you. Wow. He was like, they made you sound like the best thing than sliced bread. So we just did a little negotiation, and I ended up getting the price that I wanted. Wow. Than what she was telling me. But anyway, I moved in there, and 3 years later, I'm here.
Why the name 100 Grand?
Okay, so...
or 100 grand.
It's 100 grand.
Yeah, I mean...
Spelled out.
I know.
Yeah, I know, you know. So it used to be called Confident Cuts. And I think it's still on Google. Like, if you go on Google, I think it'll still say Confident Cuts. And I got Confident Cuts from the nonprofit I was trying to do with the shelters, which was called the Confidence Initiative. Okay. So if you Google the Confidence Initiative, you'll see that my face will come up, all the stuff that I did. Right. But anyway, when I got the barbershop, I was in a contract with this group called Boys Town. Okay. Boys Town was this big hit. It was like this big thing. It was basically rehabilitating juveniles that went to jail and getting them reacclimated with society. So they were going to give me $75 an hour to teach these kids how to cut. So originally I had designed and decorated the shop like a school. Okay. It was never intended to be a barbershop, but quickly that changed because the day that I actually signed the lease and I reached out to my contact, his name was Ronaldo. I reached out, I was like, hey, what's up? What's going on? I got the lease. He said, damn, Yohnee, they killed the program. The government stopped funding it, and we all had to go our own separate ways. I was like, damn, what happened to the kids? The hell? Y'all sent them back to jail? Where they at? But
the government is not going to fund it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but it was the truth, though. He wasn't lying.
Yeah, I know.
He ended up moving back to Cali. Wow. But yeah, so long story short, I was already signed the lease, so I was in there. You know, I had to quickly figure out how to, change it. So it was now a barber shop, and I, a year later, I got barbers in there, and it's fully functioning. But the essence of the confidence initiative, that whole give back shelter thing that I was once doing, had kind of faded out.
Right.
I have been working to pay all the bills, so I was at the shop and working at jobs. So I was doing all this stuff, and I wasn't really giving back like I was.
Right.
So I felt like it was time to kind of transition.
Make it for profit.
Yeah, make it for profit and focus on the shop being what it is. And so my barbershop is on Grand Avenue, 464 Grand Avenue,
That's
Brooklyn,
right.
New York. And I started saying, damn, what can I make it? How can I make it into something? So I was like, grand, 100 grand. And I brought it up to my barbers, and they was like, nah, I don't like it. I don't like it. But what was crazy is that they were saying they didn't like it. And it was like, nah, but this is it. Like, it's something inside me was like, no, this is the name.
That's right.
This is the name. And then they were like, but people going to get confused with the address if you put the 100. And I was like, damn, you might be right. And I sat with it because I was thinking I might have to just change that because of the address itself.
Right.
But then after a while, I was like, no, just drop the 100 and spell it out.
Right.
And that was it. And that's been it. And the people really like it. And we've gotten the logo on T-shirts and sweaters. And everybody's like, yeah,
it's
like
a dope
it.
name.
Thank you.
I like it. It's a dope name.
Thanks.
It definitely is.
I like
It's
it.
definitely, yeah. You got, always, I would tell everybody as an entrepreneur or whatever, go with your instinct, man. Your instinct will never lead you the wrong direction.
Absolutely.
It's important.
I think that it is. I think that making the right decisions have, for my business, have gotten me this far. And you have to make the right decisions even when it's not the popular decision.
Right. And even if you make the wrong decision, it's your decision to make as the owner. And people know that, If you're the owner, everything is on you, and you're allowed to make the wrong decision.
Yeah.
Because you made the investment.
Yo, do you know how real that is, though? Because, it was funny because there was a situation. I was telling you about the situation earlier, and I was talking to my best friend about it. I was like, yo, why you didn't come to me and say to me, yo, you all right? Or something to another. And he was like, I just think you should have handled it differently. I think you should have did this. And I said, it's always funny how people try to tell you how you should have handled it when it wasn't them.
In hindsight.
Yeah. You don't know what you would have did.
Right.
You don't know how I should have handled it.
Right.
You don't know what the outcome would have been either way.
Right.
So it's just interesting. But sometimes you do. You just have to kind of just be unpopular at times.
Yeah.
In the sake of doing what's right for you.
That's right. Because as long as you can sleep good at night, that's all that matters. Everybody's not going to agree with you. If you're looking for everybody's approval, you won't get anywhere. Right. So you're doing the right thing.
I think that's what I've learned, though.
Okay.
I think that had to grow. Mm-hmm. Is just being like, yo, I'm going to have to just be unpopular. And I'm going to just have to be, I'm going to just have to be wrong in your eyes or not really care about how you feel.
Right. You could take people's suggestions into consideration, but at the end of the day, it's still your decision to make. Yeah. And that they have to understand that. Mm-hmm. They have to respect the point that it's your shop. It's your shop, baby. At the end of the day, it's your shop. Let me
ask you a question. When did you get to that point?
I don't.
You've been doing this for a while.
And I've been doing it so long that I couldn't say exactly when. I think it's still part of my DNA anyway that kind of pushed me into entrepreneurship. Just making up my mind of what I want, and that's not just with the shop. Everything that I desire, almost, or come up with creatively, I need to give it legs and let it fly. And it could either fly or it could flop, but it's out of my system, and that's how I do the things I do.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah, sure.
And I asked this question because recently I've been dealing with my feelings towards the competitive nature of the shop.
The competitive inside the shop?
Industry, no.
Oh, the industry.
So
click that and put it down.
I gotta.
Yeah, sorry.
Click it, just hit it.
Just turn it on and turn it off, or give it to me. Okay. Sorry, everybody out there. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
We're still getting it all together, guys.
It's life. So yeah, so I've been dealing with my mind. Well, one of the things I had to learn is that people are not your friends, and I'm used to like just being friendly and making friends or whatever.
Right.
And so I've met a few people in the industry, and I just always, and in my head I'm just like, oh, I got a new friend, you know, something like that. And I feel like because like they were barbershop owners, that it quickly turned into a competition, but not on my part. I'm not competing with nobody because that's just like, listen, I'm struggling and shit.
Right.
And I'm constantly creating on my own. But I can tell, and so I got a little upset because like I started promoting something at my shop, and then another barbershop owner who I was friends just took the whole idea and started promoting it too.
Yeah.
And I started feeling some kind of way because I was like, yo, B, I'm not going to share, especially because, you know, being a man in the industry, I feel like it's easier. Like, you know, guys grow up real quick. And then, especially if you were born and raised here, you've got more friends, you've got high school friends, you've got more support than I got. So for you to take something from me and then excel at it is even more annoying.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I know you've been through something similar, then probably more than one situation.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But I know that you've had to deal with, you know, situations like that. So talk to me, tell me. Look how I turned the podcast. Talk to me, tell me, give me some advice on how you've dealt with that.
Well, I think every situation is special, even though they might have similarities. And, you know, I take it as a learning experience. One. Two is that's not, you know, that's just the world, period. It's not about barbers. People come up with ideas and people piggyback, and some people do it better than others. And it's just part of the game. You know, it really is part of the game. And, you know, sometimes you'll get in your feelings about it.
Yes.
But if you believe in yourself, you believe in your creativity, your originality, you'll keep going. You'll come up with something new, and you just keep going. Maybe they're doing the best that they can do.
Yeah.
And the best that they can do is here, and the best that you can do is there. So just keep moving forward and being positive, because that's something you can't control.
Yeah, that's true.
People like, some people say, you know, you inspire others. Some people say people copied off you or bid it from you or, you know, stole it from you. That's always going to be there. You know, I say if you do something, do it to your best of ability and milk it out before everybody else start doing it, because that's going to happen.
Yeah.
If it's good, it's going to happen.
Right.
Period.
Kind of one of those things where it's like, don't share everything with everybody. Like you can't give your ideas to everybody.
Oh,
right?
yes. You know, and sometimes you share your idea because you're so excited about it, you know. But like, you know, number one, protect your investment. And sometimes your investment is your ideas.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now let me ask you a question. When people do stuff like, let's say you have somebody close to you and they just do something like that, do you still talk to them? Do you take it personal? Do you distance yourself? Like, do you feel some kind of way because now you understand how this person thinks?
I've done it all. I've done it all. I've in certain situations I've, you know, cut off contact. In certain situations I've moved past it, and you know, I talk to the person, and you know, it just depends on maybe how deep the cut was. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I think that's a good answer.
Yeah. Yep.
Are you more sensitive to it now, or are you more numb to it?
Sometimes the things that happen to you that look like they set you back only propel you forward, though.
Right.
So you just have to let it happen. Because there's times where I felt like I was pushed back, but the benefit I got from ridding myself with some people was
better.
Like the Most High knows better than you know.
Yeah.
So some things you just got to let happen.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I can agree with you on that one.
Yes.
Because even with the situation with the real estate lady, like if she had not done that, do you know how much money I probably would have had to put out with her involved?
Yeah, because she would have had to get paid.
She would have had to get paid. It would have just been a mess.
Yeah.
The fact that she did what she did, she moved herself out the way for me. And I began a connection. I didn't have to pay no real estate fee.
Right.
I didn't only have to pay the landlord.
Right.
Oh, she was pissed off though.
No, I know how that is.
But in hindsight, when I look at it, I understand what God was doing. God used her. Maybe not in the way she would have liked,
Right.
not in the way that I would have liked.
Right.
But he definitely used her.
He used her to push you to
Forward.
get the relationship with the person you needed with, which is the landlord.
Yep.
You know, she was just a middle person, and
Absolutely.
she chumped her own hand.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah. So, last thing is, let's talk about the classes that you're doing
Let's talk about it.
at 100 grand. You know, you brought in a few favorites already, and
Yeah,
tell
I'm
us about that, and tell us who you got on the
excited.
schedule and what inspired that.
Okay, so I have classes coming up. I have big barbers that I think are big coming to teach these classes. I've always taught and I've always had a passion for teaching. Just because I feel like I'm a natural communicator and I try to be a effective communicator. So like when I talk to you, I want you to either feel something, get it. You know what I mean? Like I'm an effective communicator. So I've always had a passion for teaching. So I started teaching classes last year. And I was teaching the classes last year and I just wasn't getting the same attention or the same traction that I wanted. So I decided to invite some of these barbers out here. And the first barber I had was Fa from Philly.
Wow, that's my boy.
Fa from
He was on the
Philly.
show.
He's such an amazing guy. Like
Very good soul.
very interesting spirit.
Yes.
Not just a good spirit, but a very interesting spirit because you can tell he tries, like he thinks. And he's a thinker, and he's a good guy on top of that.
Yes.
So I actually met Fa over the summer. I've seen him a couple times. He probably don't remember. But I seen him a couple times. But I actually got introduced to him for BarberCon last year.
Okay.
I got introduced to him for BarberCon last year because he was cutting for Bevel.
Yes.
And he put out a post, who wants me to cut their hair for Bevel? And at the time, I was rocking like a dark Caesar. So I was like, me. So he said, reach out to Bevel and they'll get in touch with you. Bevel emailed me, asked me to send him some pictures. I sent him some pictures. They was like, great. They gave us each other's numbers and said, you guys talk. When Fa called me, we talked maybe like 2 hours the most.
Wow.
But we talked for a while.
Wow.
And I mean, I was just telling him like some of the things and I was just listening to him. And I was just like, damn, you know, I kind of think he's going through the same thing. But he's so cool about it. He's so laid back about it. So anyway, we ended up doing the cut at BarberCon. And it was like a dope cut. Like he posted it like 3 or 4 times on his page. It was just like, yo, it was lit.
It was lit.
Yeah. It was super. So when I started this idea, I said, I should reach out to him and see if he's down for it. And the funny thing, he was like, yeah, I'm down. Whatever you want. I got it.
Right.
And I was like, damn, I really can do this.
Right.
Once he said yes, I felt like, oh, I can get yeses.
Yes.
And then so he, you know, we made a plan and he said he was going to come. We made a date. I was like, good. Then I reached out to OG Walker. So OG Walker is another barber. He'll be here.
That's
on
my boy,
Sunday,
too.
The 24th. OG Walker is another great one. I hit him up on Instagram. I don't think I had ever met him. But this was early in the summer. Both of them, I was talking to them early in the summertime. So all of this stuff was going on like from early summer of 18 up until now.
Okay.
And so I was just talking to him, but I actually met OG in Vegas.
Okay.
When I went to the Vegas.
I was there
show.
too.
I was there.
Okay. I was standing there doing interviews, you know, doing my thing. Yeah.
Listen, I was there.
I didn't get a chance to walk around because I was in one post doing interviews.
Damn, I don't even know because it was just so crazy. I was just in and out, going back to the hotel room, coming back. I was just running around.
Yeah.
First, I had a dress on with heels, and I was like, oh no. First of all, I had not worn heels in like years. My ankles is not strong.
It's a lot of walking in Vegas.
So I went when I put some sneakers on and stuff like that. But I saw OG Walker. And man, I just love his energy. One of the things that I want people to get from this class is the one-on-one experience. I think meeting the barbers at the BarberCons, at the expos, at these conventions, you don't get to really meet them and vibe with them. And I think that's where the term Hollywood barber, because I like to call out barbers for acting Hollywood, comes from. But I can understand their side of it. When you're at a convention and people are walking up to you left and right that you don't know, and they want some attention from you, but you've got your attention on so many other things.
Right.
And if you shun someone or make someone feel some kind of way, it's not always intentional.
Yes.
It's not because you think you're above them or anything like that.
Right.
But I think that can be the case when you meet people in this in that environment.
Right.
So I'm hoping to get barbers to come to my shop and people to actually come out and meet them, not only learn something from them, but then get that experience.
Right.
You know? But OG Walker never gave me the Hollywood vibe.
He's cool.
Never once.
Yeah.
And I've had some experiences with barbers that I didn't really care for. Like, I was just like, oh, you know, and you looking up to barbers like, man, I love you. You know what I mean? Like,
They say don't meet your heroes. It might ruin it.
So, but when I met OG, he was just super laid back, man. There's just a really down to earth,
humble brother too.
Yeah, as much as he got going on, he's really humble, and he came through and he said he was coming. And he'll be here next Sunday, and I'm excited. Like, I'm super excited to have him. So he's my second class. Next month we have Dante Financial. He's
been on the show too.
Yes, he's been on the show, and Dante is like super cool, man. What I like about Dante too is that, one, he's passionate about the industry, and he's not even a barber.
Yeah.
But I fucks with it. Excuse my language. I don't know how you feel about me cursing, but
right.
I fucks with it because Dante, his passion is right. It's right on point.
Yeah, his focus is for the barbers.
Right, and I like that. And so, and he's willing to share. He's just like, yo, he's at every event. He's like, yo, whatever. I'm like, I'm rocking with that. I like that a lot.
Right.
So, he'll be teaching a class on finances and stuff like that, which is going to be super dope. He's giving away tickets to BarberCon, and that one's going to be super dope. I don't want to give out everything for that one, what he wants to do, but it's going to be dope. In April, we got Tyreek.
Tyreek Jackson.
Tyreek Jackson is coming in April.
So he will be on the show when he's here for April, right, Tyreek?
Well, we got to find out.
No, I'm pretty sure he will.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you helping me out too. They coming down for that, and they can stop by. Yeah, for sure.
Because listen, I can only show them but so much. I'm not even from New York, so I can't show you around.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Tyreek is coming. I have some more that I've already reached out to, but I haven't solidified it yet. Once I solidify it, then I want to go further. I got like 2 other big ones that I'm super excited for. Like 3 big names that I'm super excited about. And once I get them solidified, then it's gonna get bigger. But my goal is to just really learn. All of these barbers that I've invited, they all charge $50 or more for a cut.
Right.
And you know, I know that's unheard of. I charge $30 and $35, but I don't even think people be acting like, what? 30 for a Caesar? I'm like, yeah, you know. But to go up to 50 is even more crazy. But the point is I want to feel like I deserve 50.
Right.
And so if I'm underneath, if I'm studying, if I'm learning from these barbers who can charge this price and deserve this price, then maybe by the end of this year, by the end of these classes, I call it the Learning Equals Earning series. I feel like I'll be able to say, well, you might think it's a lot, but that's what I deserve. You know what I mean?
Based on my education.
Based on my education.
You charge with the time and skill that you put into your career.
Exactly.
You know, your self-worth. You know, I know your self-worth. There's nothing wrong with that. So in closing, like, what would you tell up-and-coming barber shop owner? You know, what advice would you give them?
What? That's a loaded question. What would I tell? Okay, so first and foremost, because you know what, honestly, like I'm learning all of this stuff as I go.
We got 6 minutes.
We got 6 minutes, so I'm gonna do it in 3. If you are a barber and you're just starting out, I say get educated. Go to the classes. Go to every classes. Go get in the barber industry. You're only as good as your clippers. So invest in new clippers, invest in good clippers. You're only good as your best barber. So you get underneath that barber, study, find a good environment. Education is definitely the key. Like, you have to stay educated. And I don't care if you think you're nice. If you could be nice, still educate yourself with different products, different techniques, because it's ever evolving in the barber industry. And learn your value, charge what you're worth. Take a business course, read some business books, understand like marketing, get on social media. That's that. If you want to start a barber shop, I would say work a little. I don't know. Put your barbershop first. That's what I'll say. Everything that you do for your barbershop, everything that you do with your barbershop, put your barbershop first until your barbershop can uplift you. Put it first. Because, I mean, I've got part-time jobs here and there. I've done part-time jobs. I've just tried to, the barbershop became like my child. Right. And I just, honestly, I've done everything for it because the goal is for it to work for me. Right. In the future, where I don't have to do so much. I can just sit back and chill. Right. But you
won't be chilling, but you may not be cutting.
Exactly. But that's life for me.
No, I can dig it.
I need to go to the gym.
I understand.
I want to go on vacation. I don't want to be stuck and financially stuck in the situation. So right. So basically, I would say put your barbershop first and do right by your barbershop. Okay. Make sure you pay the bills. Make sure you figure it out. You just got to figure it out. I don't know. Other than that, like owning a barbershop, the concept is good. It looks good. On paper, it's great. But in reality, it's not always, cookie cutter.
You got to be built for it.
Right. You got to roll with the punches. Yep. And that's it.
Cool. So tell people how your social media, how they can contact you if you're looking for barbers. Let's get to the good stuff.
All right. So I have 2 social media pages. My personal page is Barber Baddie, BARBERBADDIE, and 100 Gram Barbershop, spelled the way it sounds. Basically, you can reach me on there. I'm on Booksy. You can go to Eventbrite. You can look up Barber Baddie. You can look up OG Walker. You can go to any of those pages to click the Get Tickets link so that you can find tickets to any of my up-and-coming classes. Also, you can hit me up on social media. And that's pretty much it. I mean, yeah, I think that's it.
Thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You gave out a lot of information.
I know, right?
You got a wonderful story, though. Very wonderful story. And I wish you the best, all right?
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, y'all watching BarberWorld TV. Peace.
I've been cutting these heads for years. It made me a master. There's rules to get money faster. A cut by cut booklet for you to get your game on track. Not your lines pushed back. Rule number uno.